If you've ever given a speech, then you've already done something that most people never will. You showed up, you stood in front of a room full of people, you shared your expertise, and you delivered value in a high-stakes moment. And that's something that I deeply respect. But if you ever left that speech and got back to your inbox and there wasn't much waiting for you, then you probably thought that speech was really good. Why didn't it lead to more business? Well, I'm here to tell you that the reason why the speech didn't lead to more leads is not because of your presentation skills, it's not because of your slides, and it's not even because of your charisma. What's likely missing is alignment. And there are 5 layers of alignment that every speech needs if you want to create both a powerful moment for your audience and momentum for your business. I call this the speech to sales stack. This is what will help you turn your presence at both in-person events and online events into a consistent pipeline. Whether you speak once a year or a couple times a month, I want to help make sure that those brave speeches not only serve your audience, but are also serving your business. If we haven't met yet, hi, I'm Cherie Alexander. For the past 15 years, I have helped founders and executives navigate high leverage communication moments like speeches and turn them into real business opportunities. This video is for you if you have spoken at events and thought it should have led to more business, or if you're getting more speaking invites and you want to maximize that impact, or even if you are confident in your content but not sure why those speeches aren't converting the way you think that they should. To be clear, this is not about becoming a paid, full-time professional speaker. It's about helping you be more influential and strategic with every presentation that you give. Let's start with a quick shift in thinking. Most people view speeches as a moment, an isolated event. You show up, you give value, you get some compliments, maybe a few business cards, and that's it. But the people who actually get business from speeches, they treat speaking as a system, as an intentional part of your marketing, which means that your time on stage is just one piece of a bigger picture. And when that moment, your talk, is aligned with your message, your audience, and your offer, that's when you see real ROI from speaking. This is the framework I use with my clients. It's a 5-layer structure that helps you think differently about every speaking opportunity. So let's walk through it. First is the opportunity scan. We start by scanning the landscape to identify the best stages, events, and even podcasts. The opportunity scan helps you stop chasing random speaking gigs and start targeting the right opportunities that align with your business. Without this alignment layer, you waste time applying to speeches that don't move the needle, or you miss the best speaking opportunities altogether. You scramble last minute when call for speakers randomly pop up, or you end up speaking to audiences that can't even buy from you. And when you get your opportunity scan dialed in, you have a curated list of high ROI speaking opportunities at your fingertips. You're proactively pitching yourself before the floodgates open, and you're able to speak directly with ideal clients and investors. So when you're scanning for those opportunities, you're looking for events that fit your business goals. You're also making sure that you know who's attending those events, the job titles in the room, where those events are typically held. You know the time of year that they're held, who's putting on those events, and potentially even when they open up those call for speakers. Then we track everything. With a simple spreadsheet or a view in your CRM, you have a calendar view of when those events are happening, your contacts, and all those important deadlines, so that way you're never scrambling ever again. When you have this in place, you're not guessing. You're working a focused, prioritized pipeline of opportunities just like you would any other sales pipeline. Okay, so once you know the events you want to target, you want to consider who the audience is who's actually attending those events. And that's where we come to our second layer of alignment, which is audience profiles. Audience profiles are just as important as your ideal client profile, your ICP. You probably already know that without an ICP, your message speaks to everybody, which means you're speaking to nobody. Your marketing's all over the place. Your brand feels scattered, and then your sales just drag. When it comes to speaking, without clear audience profiles, your speech may feel really good in the moment, but it's not dialed in to actually guide your audience to real action. So you need to know who you're actually speaking to and why they care. Now, here's what most speakers don't realize, is that your audience actually likely has two audience profiles. First, you have the decision makers who can actually say yes and sign the contract to do business with you. These are likely the people you are most familiar with because these are the individuals that you are hopping on sales calls with. So you know their challenges, you know what success looks like for them, you know the outcomes and the value that they're seeking. And that's why most speakers cater their speeches to the decision maker, because that's who they're most familiar with, and that's who they assume will be in the room. Then there are the champions. Champions are department heads, managers, and directors who are sent to the event to scout out for solutions and then report back. They may or they may not have hiring authority, but they have influence. They can bring your name to the table and recommend you internally. But here's the catch. Depending on your business model, you very well may be able to speak in front of a room full of decision makers, and that's great. But if you're wanting to do business at the enterprise level, then more likely than not, champions are going to outnumber decision makers. So if your speech sounds like a pitch to the C-suite and your room is filled with champions, then here's what happens. They'll nod, they'll smile, they'll take notes, but they won't take action. Because champions perceive problems differently than decision makers, and perception is reality. That's why audience profiles are so important. You need to know who is in the audience, how they perceive the problem, the solutions that they seek, their motivations, and then show them how you can help them get a win in their world. Your speech can actually help equip them to advocate for you internally. Let me give you a real example. I worked with Jeremy, who co-founded a tech startup that serves financial institutions. Now, Jeremy was already speaking at major industry conferences. He was getting great feedback. He was well known. He was well respected, but each speech was only bringing in 3 to 5 leads. When we dug in, we discovered that Jeremy's speech was perfectly geared for C-suite executives, but at his industry events, his audiences were mostly champions, people in cybersecurity and IT professionals. They loved his speeches, but they weren't equipped to champion him back at their banks. So we repositioned his speech. We adjusted his message to highlight what was important to the champions. Then we created a resource that was really easy for them to share internally, and we realigned the follow-up process for champion advocacy. That resulted in Jeremy going from 3 to 5 leads per speech to 30, 40, even over 50 leads per speech. And thanks to us revamping his speech titles and descriptions, Jeremy was getting standing room only breakout sessions, compelling audiences to come to his session versus everybody else's. And all of that happened without changing his core message. We just aligned it better to the people that were actually in the room. So make sure you have your audience profiles for both your decision makers and your champions. You're not just talking to one audience. In fact, you might actually be building an internal sales team. So we've done the opportunity scan, we have our audience profiles. The next layer is strategic design. When it comes to speaking, most people over-focus on the delivery and under-focus on the design. And I don't mean the design of your slides. I mean the design of the journey, the experience you want your audience to go through. Like any good strategy, you want to start with the end in mind. So this third layer actually comes in 3 parts. First, we have conversion alignment, then we have crafting the talk, and then lastly, we have our bridge builders. When you get all 3 of these working together, your speech doesn't just land with your audience, it leads to actual business. So starting with the conversion intention, you want to have one service that you want to move your audience towards. To be clear, this isn't your speech's call to action. That's coming up later. For this section, we're making sure that your speech is aligned with your ideal outcome, which is to sell something. But we need to be clear on what you specifically want to sell. This is important because a lot of businesses have multiple services that they offer. Just like one of my clients, Eric, who owns a full service marketing agency. His company does website design, digital ads, SEO, content creation, video, audio, like the list goes on and on. And Eric is brought into his industry's events quite regularly to speak on marketing strategy. And Eric is a great speaker. He is beloved by his industry. People know, like, and trust him. But he wasn't getting the traction from his speeches that he knew that he could. And one of the reasons was because he was covering too much ground in his speeches. There's no doubt that the audience was getting really good value, but they were overwhelmed with information. So we narrowed down his speeches to focus on one marketing element per speech. And two things started to magically happen. First, Eric was getting more sales calls with people that were interested in the specific services that he covered in his speech, the ones that had the more narrow focus. And then when they were on the sales calls, then they had an opportunity to learn more about his full suite of services. And the second thing was Eric started to get brought in for more speeches, because now instead of having one huge talk, he had multiple talks that were highly valuable, and so he got even more speaking opportunities. So with that clarity of where we wanted to guide the audience towards, the speech was then more dialed in, created a stronger experience for the audience, and led to better results for, honestly, both the audience and him. Once we know who's in our audience and the direction that we want to guide them towards, our next step in this layer of alignment is to actually craft the talk. And with your conversion intention and with your audience profiles, honestly, the talk starts to naturally reveal itself. All you're doing is simply connecting the dots between your audience's wants and needs for that particular issue or problem that you're able to solve, and then guiding them on the journey for their best next steps, one of which is going to be to do business with you. With this process, this is how you get your audience to feel like, oh my gosh, this person knows me. They're using the words that I use when I'm complaining about this issue. It's that type of alignment that we're looking for. So we have our conversion intention, we have our talk. The next step in this layer is to create your bridge builder. Your bridge builder is there to make sure that you're not leaving your audience standing there wondering what they should do next. It's a simple, low friction next step that extends the conversation without pushing the sale. Your bridge builder is something that is tangible, actionable, and this is the important part, a natural continuation of your speech. It can be a checklist, a diagnostic tool, a meeting agenda, a guide, or a follow-up training. Anything that helps your audience take a next action step after your talk. It's building a bridge between your talk and your next conversation with those who are most engaged and interested. You want to frame your bridge builder as a gift, not a pitch. And you want to make it as easy as possible to access, remove as many friction points as possible. So something like a QR code is great, even sending a clipboard around with a sign-up sheet, or letting people drop off their business cards in a fishbowl or a hat of some sort. All of those work really well. And when your audience is supported by the bridge builder, you're earning even more trust and rapport with them, which means they're more likely to take those next steps with you. The bridge builder is what turns the inspiration from your speech into momentum for your business. So if you're already seeing how your approach could be more aligned and you would like help with implementing that, check the links down below. I included a form that you can fill out to book a call with me, or you can sign up for the waitlist for Stage and Strategy, which is my community for B2B founders and executives who leverage speaking opportunities for business growth. All right, by now you're seeing that a great talk is just a part of the bigger opportunity. And if you want to maximize the ROI from speaking events, you need to think about what you're doing before, during, and after the event. So this brings us to layer 4, which is event execution. The first part of this layer is visibility. This is everything that you're doing before the event to be visible in front of your potential audience. This is a great opportunity to build your brand and increase credibility. Before the event, you want to promote yourself wherever you can and position yourself as a must-attend speaker before the room ever fills. So be sure to leverage social media, teasing what you're going to share during your talk. Tag the event, tag your meeting planners, tag anybody you know that's going to be coming. Utilize your newsletter. Even work with your meeting planner to see what promotional materials you might be able to contribute to. A lot of events have newsletters that they send out, or even podcasts or videos that they would love to be able to share on their own social media. Then, of course, we have during the event. This is when your presence is being made and known. Work the room, spark conversations, attend aspects of the event before and after your talk. This can drum up so many more opportunities just through organic conversations. Lastly, we have nurture, which is everything that you're doing after the event. This is where most people drop the ball. Again, most people focus so much on the talk itself that when they make the flight back home and get to their office, they're scrambling to think about what they should send people and what should be in the emails and what would be a helpful resource. No. Have all of that prepared long before you leave the house for the event. So already have drafted some of your personal follow-ups. Have an automated email nurture sequence in place for everybody who participated in your bridge builder, and have a system in place to be able to hand certain aspects off to your team members. This is where leads are either nurtured or lost. Again, I just really want to drive home the point that a great talk by itself is not going to leverage the opportunity that speaking gives you and maximize the ROI potential. I had a corporate client that was doing over 40 million in revenue, and they were having their executive team and sales team going out and speaking at events regularly. We're talking 3-4 events monthly at least. But they were struggling to figure out if they were really getting ROI from those speaking engagements. And so before hiring me, they worked with a very well-known presentation skills training company because they thought, oh, it must be our presentation skills that are the problem. And that ended up being horrific. Their words, not mine. They even said that for some of the people that went through the training, it was traumatic. So why was that so bad? Well, it's because the training company focused so much on presentation skills and tried to turn them into these like speaking automatons of what they should do with their hands and how they should stand, and it just did not drive the strategy. Even though that they were focusing on the speech, it didn't land. Everybody hated the experience because nobody wanted to be a stereotypical cookie cutter speaker. They wanted to be able to go to events, feel comfortable in their own skin, and communicate authentically. So when I was onboarded, we threw all of that out the window and focused on a holistic strategy. Everything that I'm sharing with you now. Not only was every speaker able to communicate in their unique and authentic ways, but we were averaging 30% of the audience to becoming fresh new leads. And in some cases, we were even doing 50 to 75% of the audience becoming new leads for the business. So when you think about the full arc of the speaking experience, what you're doing before, during, and after the talk, that's when you can build relationships, build trust, credibility with your audience members, and maybe even some that didn't attend your event. That's how you're able to plant seeds of opportunity long after you've left the stage. All right, we have made it to the 5th layer of alignment, which is to repurpose. This, my friends, is where everything compounds. I could go on and on about how speaking is such a smart and strategic way to approach your marketing efforts. If you are not repurposing the content of your speech into other aspects of your marketing, then you are missing out on Such an opportunity, not only from an exposure standpoint, but also from a time savings and productivity standpoint. You can take a speech, whether it's your slides, a transcription, an audio recording, a video recording, turn that into social media posts, podcasts, shorts, training modules. I could go on and on about the potential of what you can do with the source material of your speech and how it can be repurposed into other aspects of your marketing. But in addition to getting more exposure and engagement with your content from a speech, what I also love about it is that if you are a very busy founder or executive, you no longer have to sit in front of a blank page or screen and wonder, what should I be posting today? All you have to do is take all of that content from your speech, hand it over to your team member and say, repurpose that. By speaking, you're actually working smarter and not harder for your overall marketing strategy. Plus, you get the benefit of actually talking and connecting with your fellow human beings. Just as an example, one of my clients, Mark, who's a hedge fund manager, prior to working with me for about a year or 2 years, he had done speeches, he had done the podcast circuit, and it wasn't leading to business. So once we started working together, he started closing $1 million per speech, starting with the first speech that we did together. So then what did we do? We took that speech and repurposed it. And now Mark has a YouTube channel that is blowing up in his niche, all because we had some fantastic source material from several of his speeches at this point, and all we're doing is repurposing it into gold of content for his YouTube channel, his LinkedIn, his newsletter, on and on. And that's how you can turn a well-aligned speech into a flywheel for your entire marketing system. I've had clients use this framework and dramatically increase their audience to lead conversions, generate millions in revenue for their business, and finally feel like their thought leadership was driving real results for their business. And the beauty is that they didn't have to speak more often. They just had to speak more strategically. So if this resonated with you and you're thinking, I know I have the presence, I just need a system to make it more profitable, then I would love to help you implement. You can fill out the brief form below to book a call with me, or you're welcome to sign up for the waitlist for Stage and Strategy, my community for B2B founders and executives who leverage speaking opportunities to generate more business. Either way, you don't have to keep guessing. You don't have to leave opportunities on the table. Your next stage can be your next growth channel if you just align it the right way. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.